Hi, Andy.
Ian, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to Dublin. I'm great.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Thanks for that.
So, according to the Airline Pilot Club, 50% of licensed pilots who apply for an airline job don't reach the required standards. So, what are the unique attributes of those pilots that are recruited by an airline?
So, this is a statistic that's been, well established over the last 10 years. Actually, it was in 2014 when I did a keynote presentation to IATS in Berlin, and we analysed the data from the airline I was flying with at the time, and we were shocked to find that about 50% of people who had a licence, who had been fully trained in accordance with the regulations, and they simply weren't able to pass the Ryanair assessment at the time, and other airlines. So what the people who are passing have been well selected. So that means that the flying school, the ATO as we call them, that will have done a psychometric assessment and a proper interview process to make sure that the people who are joining up and spending their good-looking money are actually the right type of people to go forward for their career. And unfortunately, not everybody is suited to become an airline pilot. So good selection is the first thing, and then attending the right school. So I've said many's the time that there are lots and lots of flying schools out there, but there are different standards of flying schools. And that's one of the things that I learned when I was head of training in Ryanair, where we were dealing with many ATOs in order to drive the numbers through that we needed to fuel the growth of the airline. And it's a sad fact that there are certified ATOs out there that meet the minimum requirement, they're compliant with the regulation just about, but they're the ones that generally let people down. Whereas the ones that I've worked with in the past and APC is working with now, they have all invested in and worked hard at becoming way above just compliant. They want to be the best ATOs in Europe or the world.
Yeah.
So, the right people, it's really simple, the right people through good selection, going to the right school, a school that really tries to attain high standards. And when you have that combination, you inevitably attract the attention of the recruiting airlines, because the airlines want safe and efficient pilots. And that's what the system we've put together provides to the airlines, who are the end users of the product of the training programs. Yeah.
Brilliant. And you mentioned Ryanair there, and I know that you were Ryanair for over 20 years. So I was just wondering, what are some of the unique insights from Ryanair that have influenced your approach at APC in relation to the training?
Well, the thing that Ryanair stands for and always has is high standards, and I was very lucky to work with a fantastic team, from the chief pilot down to the newest co-pilot SFI or simulator instructor. And so what I've learned through that 18 years as head of training in Ryanair, producing tens of thousands of pilots, is that if you focus on and drive for high standards and quality, the rest will follow. And that is what I've learned most clearly in all my work with Ryanair, with EASA, and subsequently with Pegasus Airlines, with Avianca Airlines, Hong Kong Express. The drive for quality and insisting on high standards is what sets organisations of all types apart. And so with APC, I've tried to, insist on these standards being that I learned and I know work when I was in the airline industry. I've tried to set up a situation where we look at the standard of the individual, we look at the standard of the school, and then we connect them to recruiting airlines. And I think quality and high standards is what I've taken most out of my time in Ryanair and EASA.
Yeah. And in terms of standards, so how does APC ensure that its training programs meet the highest industry standards, given that they have you leading and so forth?
Yeah. So, well, as I've said already, there are lots and lots of ATOs or flight schools out there that are certified all over the world. They must meet the minimum level of compliance. They have to have the equipment, they have to have the offices, the training, instructors have to be trained. But again, going back to my experience, and many other people would agree with this, There are many different standards of ATOs out there. So what we try to do, and we've been very successful in working with 18 ATOs all over the world. Our way of making sure that they are above the average or compliance standard is to go in and impose a collaboration with the management team. And I have to use the word audit, even though I hate the word audit, but it is a collaboration. It's a quality review where we use very long and very detailed documentation to make sure that people like myself who've been in post holder management positions or who've worked in national aviation authorities, when we go into an ATO, we put our arms around the management team and we say, you know, we really respect you for trying to and wanting to improve above just being compliant. And we use our experience and our relationships and our documented processes and procedures to give the ATO a roadmap from where they are to where they need to go in order to be really attractive to the recruiting airlines.
Yeah. And with APC, the community element of the organisation is really important. So can you explain a little more how APC's community-based approach benefits, say, aspiring pilots, the ATOs, and the airlines that you obviously work with as well?
So the community is based on what we call a freemium model. So we allow anybody who's interested in becoming a pilot to join APC. It's free. There are very, very, very few charges in APC, and the only charges we put out there to people are ones we can't avoid because it's a cost to us. But so people can join APC under the category that I want to be a pilot, or I'm training to be a pilot, or I am a pilot, a qualified professional pilot. And when they register and fill out the various kind of application forms and processes, they get access to a wide range of carefully chosen free learning resources and guidance that we provide them. So we start with some basic learning, which is developed by a university here in Ireland for us, which is mathematics and aviation. A free course sets people on the right track. Maths is one of these things that scares people who want to be well, but I can't add, and I've been a pilot for 40 years, so it's okay. So then we look at preparing them for the really intense period of their training, which is when they do the ATPL, or the Airline Transport Pilot License theoretical exams, which is very intense. So we have a module there done for us by a partner ATO called ASG, and that is available for people to study and to learn about each of the 13 topics that they're going to have to study in depth. And then finally, at the moment, we have a wonderful program of learning for people who want to understand what it is to be, what is the human person, what is the life like that a pilot, an airline pilot, is going to have to exercise and carry out. And we provide an insight into that through insights into human factors and limitations, crew resource management, CRM, threat and error management, known as TEM, and then we go into the 9 pilot competencies, which we'll talk about a lot about later on. And that's all available for them. We run regular webinars, which are hugely popular. We video the webinars, put them up on our website for people to study later on. We've had a great rapport with Ryanair. We've had a whole series of webinars with Ryanair, and that's really, you know, anyone wanting to understand what it's like to join or be part of a big airline. Yeah. Those videos that happen to be about Ryanair are there. So it's, to come back to your question, trying to distill all the stuff that I learned over the years and trying to put it in a way that can make it easy for people to make smart early decisions about whether or not they are going to be successful as a pilot. We even have a page for parents.
Yes, so I saw that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if anybody reads it, but it makes me feel good that it's there.
Yeah, I think that's cool. So what kind of, I think you've touched on this a bit, but what kind of role does APC play in connecting those aspiring pilots with the top tier flight schools and airlines? And how does that kind of enhance their chances and their career opportunities by coming through APC?
So when we do our audits, the schools and the ATOs that reach a standard that we're happy with, we'll put them up on our website. And sitting underneath the website, there's a block of software that allows the members and the ATOs to communicate. So the ATOs, the schools, are able to search through a whole number of data points in the database of 21,000 members that we have now, and they're able to reach out to the members and explain to them what they are, what they stand for, the quality that they represent, and when their courses are starting. And the members can be introduced to them through that way or through the webinars that we do. So our role is to point to our members, and anybody else, by the way, the high quality ATOs that we have absolute confidence in, who will provide airline standard training. So I just want to emphasize, a lot of schools can provide training that will give the license, but what airlines want, they want airline ready pilots. Mm-hmm. And that's what we try and do. We try and produce airline ready pilots so that when our members through our schools are assessed by airlines like Ryanair, Aer Lingus, you name it, they do well. And that's it. It's a support structure that's based on passive resources that I've already described, and an active element in connecting people to the schools and then to the airlines.
Yeah, and if I understand correctly, it's you foster a supportive environment for pilots throughout their whole career and beyond the initial training as well, is that right?
Well, that's what we're getting into now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a pilot can be a member of APC for as long as they like, and one of the more recent ventures that we've gotten into with Hong Kong Express is providing a pure recruitment process. So we're recruiting A320 captains for Hong Kong Express, and in order to access that opportunity through us, you have to become a member, and our members get first call, if you like. If they are suitably qualified, they get the first call for any of the jobs that we're putting forward. So there's a distinct advantage to people to become a member. So we try to look after them in that way. But what we're moving into now with the AI applications that we're developing, we have a genuine opportunity to put in place a kind of long-term ongoing mentorship that's always on, always awake, and always supportive, which we call Amelia. And there's obviously an aviation historic reference there, Amelia Earhart, and also Amelia is the name of the daughter of our COO, who's the brains behind the AI effort that we're putting in at the moment. So we believe that with the AI, which is a friend that is, a friendly force, knows all about you, knows your strengths and weaknesses, learns about you with every update that you're provided with in your recurrent training or your command upgrade training. It's a wonderful support. And of course, the more conventional methods of support will be there as well, through the webinars, through contacts, and lots of face-to-face work that we do as well, which I enjoy immensely.
And you mentioned AI and tech, and that's become a really important part of the work that you do now. How did you move from that initial model where you were working with aspiring pilots, the ATOs, the airlines, to then moving into a more tech, AI-focused approach?
Yeah, well, the original model, which is still working, is that we needed a tech base to connect our members with the schools. And initially we had some really difficult, frustrating experiences with service suppliers. But we had a very happy day one day when a fantastic company called Pixit. Pixit is a SaaS company based in France. They specialize in recruitment solutions. And they invested in APC. And in doing so, they handed us the IP of an applicant tracking system that they've been using for about 15 years. An applicant tracking system is an ATS. So that ATS and the block of software that it represents is the engine which was the initial kind of transformation of APC, so that we could provide those tech solutions at the very basic level. So we're very fortunate in that the ATS that we have has got huge experience and reputation in industry. It has worked with airlines, it has worked with banks, it works with government departments, it works with the hospitality industry. And last year, our ATS processed 1.5 million applications. And so that was our kind of first big stepping stone in becoming a tech company. But we use it primarily for the services that I've already mentioned. What we're doing now is we're very firmly moving into the area of AI. And we're going to join the conventional tech that the ATS represents with the innovation AI that we're developing, which is probably part of what we'll talk about shortly. So that's the direction. We're building on proven tech through the applicant tracking system, and we're bolting on, in a very careful, considered way, some really exciting innovations that will help the recruitment process, the training process, organizations, individuals such as the students, the instructors, and as I say, organizations, whether they're ATOs, schools, or airlines.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going now.
Yeah, it sounds extremely kind of exciting what you're doing now with AI. So can you kind of elaborate on how you're using the SaaS platform and AI technologies are kind of reshaping what you're doing? How are they reshaping the kind of training landscape?
So I suppose the moment when we realized that AI could be extremely useful for us was when we were working in Avianca, which is a wonderful airline in Colombia. And they gave us the job of taking 1,800 applications and all their data and coming up with 180 recommendations for their type rating course. And each of those people represented 50 data points. So when you did the maths, and we wanted to make sure they were getting the right people, to be fair to the individuals, the applicants, but also obviously to, Avianca, which is a very high quality, safety focused airline. In order to process the data in the time frame that we had to employ something clever. And our COO, who was managing the project, embraced AI, and we were able to create AI instances and AI functions working out of our conventional ATS. So now we have a situation where we've got our conventional ATS, and in the Avianca instance, we started to develop AI applications which allowed us to take the data that the application form would provide through when people apply, take that data, add in more data from a psychometric assessment, which was provided by Symbiotics, which is by far our favoured and preferred service provider in that area. We did interviews with them. We had a knowledge test. We put them through simulator assessment, which was all competency based, and we developed all that data. And we were able to provide Avianca every month for 6 months, 30 ranked names to go on their A320 type rating. So that was the first time that we really used the AI to evolve out of the conventional tech. And we felt very comfortable with it, and we were kind of innovative and we were exploring it. Mm-hmm. And we decided that there are ways to use it in the recruitment and training area that are quite exciting.
Yeah, and certainly within the training segment is where AI is really, really interesting. Mm-hmm. So can you tell me a little bit more how you are using AI to kind of customize training paths for aspiring pilots and enhance their learning outcomes?
So what we're trying to do is to kind of put some thinking into, and maybe making other people think about, the whole recruitment and training dynamic. Because in my experience, the recruitment function is here and the training function is here. And there's very little handover of information or reference by the training function back to the recruitment pot of information.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, in the recruitment, they're certainly going to do a psychometric assessment, they're going to do an interview, they're going to do a sim session. And there's a huge amount of information in that pot that tends to be left behind. And so the training department takes 12 or 20 new students every Monday in East Midlands, if it's in Ryanair, and they deal with the people that are in front of them. And there's some handover, but I know in other airlines there's no handover of information learned in the recruitment phase. So what we can do with AI is we can constantly have that originating information, the fundamental baseline information about you as a pilot or a potential pilot in the context of a carefully thought out psychometric assessment. So that piece of data comes with us. And so from the psychometric assessment, an interview, a learning styles preference quiz that we put them through, and a knowledge about the training programs that they're about to engage in and the training resources that are available to the organization, all of which is fed into our AI, we're able to come up with a baseline report for the student that gives them personalized guidance as to how they can prepare for and improve before, during, and immediately before any assessments that they're on. Because the AI is constantly updating itself on what it knew about you, but then every new training element and checking element, piece of information that you give, whether it's your ATPL theory exam results or you're flying into your first solo, doing your MEIR, working through your APS MCC, all that data goes in. And Amelia constantly upgrades herself and is able to pick out where your strengths are and where your areas for development are. And we're able to provide those little nudges, those prompts, either in between each session or in between each block of training, so that the instructor who's managing the program, the head of training who's managing the program, we always insist on having a person in the loop to make sure to validate the output of the AI. So we're able to provide the students with these personalized evidence-based training prompts, either in the shape of quite a substantial report or a short-term prompt that they might consider doing before they approach the next sim session or flying session or whatever. So that's how we're combining the recruitment and the training function and using all the data all of the time to improve the ability of the organization to train their people and the ability of the student to reach their full potential.
Great. And so what specific challenges in pilot recruitment and training does the APC's technology address, and how does it set new standards in the industry?
Well, we're very fortunate that at the moment, through the hard work of individuals and organizations like ICAO, IATA and EASA, that there is now a framework of how a pilot should behave and how you can observe, assess and train these, what we call competencies. So everything that we do in APC is forward-looking, because we as an industry, there are still large chunks of what we do in the training area that are rooted fundamentally in the 1940s, okay? But thanks to the work that I've just mentioned, the future is clearly identified, and it's, to a large extent, it's known. So the regulations, the guidance material, the acceptable means of compliance, all the information that's out there now in the industry about these competencies, their observed behaviours, we embrace them at the very beginning. And so from the moment we take the first piece of information about an individual through our ATS and then into our AI, we're constantly referring to those known parameters, so, such as, the competency of being able to manually fly the aircraft, or how you manage leadership and teamwork, workload management. We're constantly refining the information and the picture of the people in our system so that they know where they are relevant to where they should be in terms of these pilot competencies. And then we're able to teach them how to attain those competencies, with the whole purpose being that they present themselves at an interview in tip-top form and they ace the interview and get the job. That's what we are doing with our tech. It's fundamentally focused on the pilot competencies and aiming towards that standard from the very beginning of our engagement with an individual or an organisation.
Brilliant. And looking at some of your partnerships a bit more, could you discuss how APC's strategic partnerships with airlines and ATOs, and how do these partnerships contribute to APC's comprehensive training solutions?
Well, I mean, our training solutions are the school's training solutions and the airlines training solutions. We're not a school ourselves, But what we do is we assist those schools to reach the standard that they need to do to be attractive to the airlines. I think the partnerships that we've created have been forged out of kind of, the schools and the airlines that we've worked with, understanding that we stand for quality and we stand for high standards. And all of those schools and all the airlines that have worked with us understand that when we go in and we work with them, whether they are in a difficult situation or whether they're looking to expand, they know that they're getting decades of experience, of airline experience, and now a very potent combination of tech, as I say, ranging from a conventional applicant tracking system to AI solutions.
Yeah. And you work a lot with technology providers. And what kind of benefits does that bring to you guys? And how does that integration improve training, basically?
Well, I mentioned Pixit already. So that was the first time that we really kind of were invested in, literally, by a tech company. And that was extremely welcome. And they're very supportive. We also got a wonderful tech team as part of that kind of engagement. And we've been working away, satisfying our current clients and looking for better ways to create solutions. So looking forward to the AI piece, we've taken a route of low code, no code for developing our AI solution. Okay, so we don't have a room full of programmers developing software. We're using proven modules and areas that have worked extremely well in many areas, but in particular aviation. But also we're aware of several governments who've developed their own AI solutions for very challenging and robust areas such as immigration, that they have used the same approach that we're doing. So if you look at those partners, without naming them, we've got one module, if you like, that makes sure that we are absolutely compliant with the regulations. Like, that is really important to us, because we do not want to be cut out by any of the justifiably high standards that are there. So when we launch fully in October, November, we're going to be fully compliant with the European Union AI regulations, which are the most stringent in the world, the EASA AI roadmap, GDPR, and that's one block, making sure that what we do and how we do it is fully focused on that. So then we have a UI design company that they're going to make sure that we have a nice clean look and easy to use for whether the individual as a student, an instructor, or an organization. That's well in development. The wireframe work has been done, and I'm really excited how it looks. Then we have the big brain, which is the box in which the large language model, the machine learning, NLP, that's all in there. And then finally we have a kind of project management module that's looking after all of that. So they're the tech partners that we've embraced most recently, and I'm really excited about what it's producing. Yeah.
You imagine there'll be more that you can make use of in the future?
Yeah, but I mean, we'll walk before we run.
Yeah.
And we've got a good roadmap outlined and specified for ourselves over the next 2 years. So, and as long as they behave, we'll keep the ones we have. Yeah.
And so how do you ensure that the partnerships align with the evolving needs of the aviation industry and contribute to long-term sustainability?
Well, fortunately, I'm still active in a really interesting and very energetic group called the Aircrew Training Policy Group, which is an EASA kind of stakeholder advisory group, are part of that matrix now. So that group has, since it was born, been at the leading edge of trying to find training solutions. So I'm happy and lucky enough to be part of that still. I was chairman of it, and now it's in great hands and still doing great work. So that's a great help. And of course, we're still connected to industry and to airlines and to regulators. So we know what the right thing to do is. And as I said to you earlier on, Ian, the work that has been done to define these pilot competencies, the observed behaviours, the methods of training and assessing them in the airline context, the evidence-based training, EBT, and the competency-based training and assessment in the initial pilot training, environment. They're really excellent tools that can be used, when they're used well, to train pilots in these competencies. And that's what the airlines want. The airlines grade people and assess people, train people in accordance with these competencies. They want the schools to be preparing the graduates so that they fit into the airlines in an airline-ready way. Now, as ever, there's always a threat. And this is one of the things that I think Amelia will be very, very helpful at. So the threat is that the people that I've mentioned, the organizations that I've mentioned, they've published excellent regulation, excellent acceptable means of compliance, excellent guidance material. They train the national aviation authorities to understand it and to make sure that their organizations reporting to these authorities are doing it properly. But inevitably, there are organizations out there who take the path of least resistance, and they do, frankly, as little as possible to be compliant. And the danger is that these excellent modules, these excellent concepts like EBT, CBTA, if they're not done well, there are issues that could evolve downstream in terms of quality and safety. And so what Amelia does is it has embraced the competencies, it has embraced the observable behaviours, it is able to do root cause analyses for students and instructors when people are struggling on a particular learning item. And the entire fabric of Amelia is designed to make sure that the organisation that uses it is going to be compliant and it's going to be exceptional. Okay? Compliant and exceptional. Because Amelia takes into account all those regulations, all the industry best practice, all the training resources and training manuals that the organisation has, and in accordance with the way that we've programmed her, she will provide optimum personalised evidence-based training for people that an instructor or a head of training can validate and implement.
So now if we look at a little bit more in the future and where it's going to go for APC, do you have a vision for future aviation training and the role obviously the technology will play in that?
Yeah, I think we've kind of covered that in the sense that, like, the future of aviation training we now know what it is. It's competency-based training, it's evidence-based training, it's observable behaviours, it is instructors and examiners who are trained in the right way to implement these things. And it's not easy. You know, you can take a 65-year-old instructor who's been doing it his way or her way for 40 years, and you try and get them to facilitate a briefing or a debriefing, and it all ends up a mess. So, as usual with these things, it's the implementation. So the future is clear. The challenge is to make sure that this excellent blueprint for training that we have is implemented really well. And I firmly believe that Amelia and AI has an opportunity to do that, because Amelia and AI can support the instructor who might be reluctant to change, who might just find it difficult to engage with a crew who've had a difficult sim session or a flight, and get them to do their own analysis of why they didn't perform to the best. So I think the future in terms of tech is not coming up with something revolutionary. It is about making sure that the implementation of these excellent programs that we have is done well. That's where the application is.
And how will APC continue to kind of evolve to meet the demands of the future?
Very carefully, Ian. Yeah, very carefully. So, we think we have a wonderful product in Amelia, but we want to be very careful about how we roll it out. We're taking baby steps in terms of the use cases that we're going to reveal in November. We're going to start with personalised evidence-based training, which provides the individual and the organisation deep insights into the individual, their strengths and weaknesses, and give them real, practical and specific and individual support and guidance as to how to improve. But after that, we see lots of opportunities to expand into the area of compliance, safety management, And there's a lot that we can do. But at the moment, we're very focused on getting a good launch, having a good product, using all the resources that we've assembled, and not falling on our face, Ian.
So you're excited about the future and what you guys can offer.
Really excited. And everybody we've shown Amelia to so far has just said, "Oh, wow, this is amazing." And I'm talking about small schools, big schools, and very big organizations that have looked at this and said, "This is the piece that's missing." And I'm not making that up, only yesterday, talking to a very large organization. So it's gratifying because we have stuck our necks out a bit. But sure, look, why wouldn't you,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks very much.
Pleasure.